Hey, 49er fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Chat Sports, and today, they got a win, baby. A huge win last night on Sunday Night Football. I called it a must-win game a couple of days ago, and they did it. They won 3-3, back on track right now in San Francisco. So let's grade the offense, the defense, the special teams, and of course, individual player grades as well for, again, a massive win on Sunday Night Football. 24-16, of course, the final. A little bit, I'm not going to say lopsided in terms of the victory, but 24-16 does not fully show exactly how the game went. It was really a dominant 49er victory, minus a late touchdown there by the Rams to make it somewhat interesting. The offense, we'll start with them, really good. I mean, B+ overall. This is an offense that is still trying to, I think, find its identity with all the injuries that have been happening, struggles on the offensive line, integrating the young wide receivers back into the lineup based on the injuries that they've had, and then dealing with new injuries, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit. But overall, against a very good Ram defense, a top 5 Ram defense, how about 390 yards, 268 through the air, 122 on the ground, and the big one, 2 for 2 in the red zone. Very good on third down, and also 0 sacks. I mean, hats off to the offensive line. I've ripped the offensive line for a couple of weeks now because they've been awful. I mean, they've been absolutely terrible getting back to the Eagle game, if not earlier, and yet the Ram defensive line got nowhere near Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, credit, of course, Kyle Shanahan for scheming the right way. Quick passes, screens, end arounds. He did a really good job of game planning this one, but a big hats off to the offensive line. I'll just say playing at the level we expected them to play at with the talent that they have on offense. Now, rate the offense versus the Rams scale from 1 to 10. Again, I liked it a lot. I'd give it an 8. Let me know what you guys would think and do with your rating down below in the comments section. The offense was really good. The defense was also very good. B- overall for them. They had a couple of, I'm not going to say blown assignments, but a couple of plays I think the Rams missed. That shot play to Cooper Kupp later on in the game was really just a drop by Kupp, and then really the Rams had some chances in the red zone and were unable to convert. So they moved the football against the 49ers, and I thought the 49er defensive line was pretty bad all night long. They got nowhere near Jared Goff basically the entire night. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But again, overall, compared to what we saw against the Dolphins last week, a massive improvement. So B- is my grade for this one. I think the secondary has finally gotten healthy enough. I think Moseley coming back was great. Jason Verrett looked really good last night. I think they're starting to figure things out. The linebackers we know are good. It's more now up to the front four to start getting pressure because they had no sacks of Jared Goff last night as well. Same with the of course the Ram defense. But again, a solid defensive performance, a lot better than anything we've seen from the defense over the past couple of weeks. Before we keep going, I told you to bet on this game because the numbers were too much in favor of the Rams to not bet on this game. And if you took my advice, you would have won some money. So keep taking my advice and bet on the Patriot game next week. Listen, Patriots look bad against Denver in Foxborough this Sunday, or I should say yesterday. So a chance for you to go ahead and win some money when betting on the 49ers with our friends at BetUS. Chatsports.com/49bet is your link. And of course, your deposit bonus can be up to 125% when you use the promo code Niners125. So again, chatsports.com/49bet. You get that 125% deposit code whenever you use the promo code Niners125. Special teams, quickly, no worries here, no issues in terms of kicking. Robbie Gould hit the 49-yarder, which essentially sealed it, right? And his chance of coming back was basically killed by that kick. Made all 3 of his extra points. Punting, kick returns, I mean, there just really hasn't been anything special there all year, but, A- still sitting there for the special teams. Okay, individual grades. Let's start with Jimmy Garoppolo, who, if you were to turn on the news last week, was getting ready to be benched, traded, or cut, or one of the above, one of all 3, right? Everyone wanted him gone except for myself, who's trying to tell you were crazy to think that, and guess what? Garoppolo was fantastic on Sunday night, A-. Listen, he silenced the haters for at least 1 week. Now, I know the haters are still out there, and if Garoppolo struggles at all, people are going to immediately jump on his case, but that was a classic vintage, very good Jimmy Garoppolo night. The offensive line kept him upright the entire time. He made 0 mistakes, no sacks, no fumbles, no interceptions, and had a very, I think, safe and smart approach going into attacking a very opportunistic Ram defense. Now, again, the game planning and scheming was geared to be a little less aggressive, a lot of dump plays, a lot of short plays, a lot of screens, but when he needed to get across the middle and pick up key third downs and 9 third downs and longs, he was able to do so. The Niners were great on third down all night, and it's all because Jimmy Garoppolo made some great decisions with the football, and I think a lot of Niner fans should at least give him credit for this week. I know you can still hate Jimmy Garoppolo because the haters are out there, and listen, you're an idiot, but that's fine. You can do you, but this was a very good performance by Jimmy Garoppolo. A lot of pressure and a lot of noise from you guys, the fans, and the media all week long. I'm impressed and proud of what he did, and obviously, like I've said, he's the quarterback of this football team for the future. He's a franchise quarterback and proved that again to me last night. As you guys are subbed to the 49ers report because there are going to be some injury updates, I think. Maybe the Mostert injury. We'll talk about that next. Probably tomorrow or, excuse me, the day after that. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the latest news and rumors always here on the 49ers report. Speaking of Mostert, his grade is a B-. He was great early on. I mean, fantastic early on. It shows that when Mostert is healthy and Kittle's healthy as well, this offense goes through both of them, and it hums. I mean, they ran the ball 17 times with Mostert in the first half, and he had a lot of great cutbacks. Mostert running right, cutting back left is one of the most dangerous backs in the National Football League. The problem is he left in the second half with an ankle injury. They are waiting further test results probably today. By the time you watch this, we'll probably have an update on it, so we'll update you guys tomorrow. But I don't think it's looking good right now for Mostert's chances of playing in the near future. But hopefully the tests come back in a positive light for Mostert going forward. But again, really good last night. I know the yardage aren't that great, but he had some big cutbacks on some key downs that really made a big difference early on in this football game, which is when the 49ers did the majority of their damage when Mostert was on the field. Do you guys think the 49ers need Mostert going forward to win? I feel like we have seen in the past couple of weeks where they don't have Mostert, the run game struggles. When they do have Mostert, the run game plays pretty well. Almost a tale of two halves last night. If you guys agree, type Y down below for yes, type N down below for no. We mentioned George Kittle. I mean, Kittle was Kittle. Fantastic. A-. I mean, what else do you want the guy to do? He's been banged up. He's been struggling a little bit to get targets from the backup quarterbacks, the Mullins and Beathards of the world, but Jimmy G comes back healthy, and he goes right to his favorite target, George Kittle, basically every night. I mean, he looked the most healthy he has been all year long. A huge 4th and 2 catch across the middle, just absolutely abusing the DB in coverage there. And really, it was a theme all night. Kittle across the middle is one of the most dangerous things in the National Football League, and you just can't really stop it. He was great on those little seam routes. He was great, of course, on the little in routes, the 7 routes, and was fantastic on the screen plays they run to him. The tight end screen to George Kittle is extremely dangerous. 109 yards and a touchdown. This is vintage Kittle. This is what you expect, and honestly, he's the best tight end not only in the National Football League when healthy, but probably in the entire world. Like this video if you agree with that. I mean, the entire NFL. Like, Ertz is having an off year, and he was up there in Philadelphia. I think Kelsey's still Kelsey, but I think everybody when healthy would take Kittle. So give this video a thumbs up right now if he's still the best tight end in the NFL. Quickly, we got to mention the offensive line, and really Mike McGlinchey, who was incredible at right tackle. The entire O-line has been terrible this year. A lot of sacks. 0 sacks against Aaron Donald is insane. Like, 0 sacks against Aaron Donald is absolutely incredible. I guess they heard me call him out the past couple of weeks because him and Trent Williams were fantastic. The guards were good. But congratulations to the Niner O-line for really taking it upon themselves to dominate the front four of Los Angeles, and it showed big time last night. Moving on to the secondary here in terms of defensive players, I thought about doing Emmanuel Moseley, but I think him and Jason Verrett can both get an A- grade. Now, I think Moseley played a little worse than Verrett. Moseley was really beat on that deep touchdown and was beat on, I think, the Cooper Kupp play as well, if I remember who it was, on that deep ball that Kupp just kind of misjudged whenever he was probably going to have at least a 50-yard gain there on that deep ball. But overall, Verrett and Moseley were fantastic. Great to see Moseley back out there where he's been missing because of the concussions. He makes a big difference being on the field. I think Jason Verrett, when healthy, is an exciting player. I mean, the pick in the end zone on 4th down, he almost jumped another one earlier on in the game. They were both really, really good. And even though Goff kind of settled down later on in the second half, anytime you hold a quarterback 19 of 38, the completion percentage way down, a big win for a Niner secondary that was obliterated by Ryan Fitzpatrick last week. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick worked them over for the Miami Dolphins a week ago, and yet tonight, it's arguably a much better offense, or last night I should say, it's a much better offense. The entire secondary was absolutely incredible. Credit Jason Verrett and these guys for figuring it out and playing at the level we hope this Niner secondary could play going into this year. Final grade here, a lot of positive grades because they won, but one kind of negative grade, Arik Armstead. Did Arik Armstead play last night? Because I have no recollection of Armstead doing anything big, doing anything good. I mean, this is a guy got a monster contract extension in this offseason and yet has been almost impossible to point out on the defensive line. He's not standing out anymore. And you start to kind of wonder, is this a guy who was only getting big plays and sacks because Nick Bosa was drawing and D4 were drawing so much attention on the offensive line? Like from the offensive line, from a defensive line perspective, if Armstead's the best pass rusher out there and he's struggling, that kind of tells you that he can't handle being the center of attention from an offensive line perspective and cannot handle double teams. I mean, he just did nothing. The entire defensive line is struggling. Someone needs to start stepping up. Someone has got to start getting sacks. Maybe that's D Ford whenever he comes back from IR. But right now, Armstead is the leader of this defense. He was a captain last year. He got a massive contract. C- for his grade. He's got to be better. He's got to be a lot better. And they're going to need him going into the later, colder months because they need pass rush ability. And they have nobody right now. And he's supposed to be the leader left after, of course, the Bosa and Ford injuries. I digress, though. Still a positive Monday morning here on the 49ers Report. Just give us a little pat in the back, right? 3-3. They're fine. There's no tanking. They're going to win some football games, as I said. Just bear with them. They're going to get healthy and keep getting better and better. Very winnable game next week, as we'll preview later on in this week, of course, against the New England Patriots. Give me your overall grade for the 49ers for their win at 24-16 over the Rams in the comment section down below. I'd say A-. They needed it. It was a must-win. National television got the job done. Good job, Jimmy G. The haters will hate it, but another win for San Francisco. All time we have for today here on the 49ers Report. I'm your host, Thomas Mott, signing off. Enjoy the rest of your day.